In an ever-changing world, man and beast struggle to live in harmony. Conservation in Africa, where wild animals compete with humans for land, is a tricky business. And nowhere is it more tricky than in South Africa's massive Kruger National Park, home to the Big Five: elephant, rhino, buffalo, lion and leopard, along with hundreds of other species of animals and birds. During apartheid, many blacks were hunted off their land, like the Mhinga tribe. Chief Cedric Mhinga is a lawyer and wants to reclaim some of the park for his tribe.
Once we win the claim, like I said, we'll sit down and look at the different land uses that we can do. You can see this valley is very beautiful, and I think it will be an ideal place to put up a lodge here where people can come and work and enjoy themselves because of the tranquility which is here. But definitely this place is the most beautiful place of the park.
It's really exciting to be here, to think that the people lived here long time ago. It's amazing.
Chief Mhinga shows his family round the park. Land in the new South Africa is a disputed commodity. This is the chief's ancestral home, but black South African visitors in Kruger Park are still an unusual sight. The chief's oldest daughter sums up the family's mood today.
Oh, happy day, when Jesus washed, 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 He washed my sins away. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Here in the north of the Kruger National Park lies Thulamela. You can only pass through this area with a game warden. 7 years ago, archaeological excavations began, and they've reconstructed the foundation walls of a village. 2 graves were found, one for a king and another for a queen, their burials 200 years apart. Many tribe members are claiming the graves are their ancestors.
The issue is not whose bones or whose skeletons are there. One thing is clear, that is black people who lived here. And to me, the discovery of these artifacts that came out there shows that the black people have something to show to the world.
For the time being, visitors have to be content with a poster display. People lived and traded here from the 12th to the 16th century. For the blacks, the findings are proof of the injustice they later suffered.
The Kruger Park never involved my community. They never benefited. I had expected the park to have built schools in our villages, to have built clinics in our villages, to have done a number of things to uplift the standard of living of our communities. But it never happened. Up to now, the lions come out of the park and kill the community's cattle. And up to now, there is no compensation that is being paid. So it's a very, very sad story. We love the park, we want to keep the park, but we have to have a say in the running of this park, especially because we were driven out of this park, not willfully. It was forceful removal that happened.
Disdain for local sensibilities seems to have been the story of the Kruger Park.
We have appointed a person to go around and look at the potential for developing businesses alongside the park. For example, instead of our making bricks inside the park, to buy from the local communities, to buy beef from the local communities, vegetables and so forth. But I don't think we have yet given it the impetus that it deserves. So I think we've got a long way to go yet.
A sharpshooter aims from a swaying helicopter. This is not hunting or poaching, it's culling. Over the past 30 years, Kruger has culled hundreds of elephants each year. It claims the park's ecosystem can only support 7,500 elephants. But animal welfare groups see the practice as barbaric.
Elephants really are the most amazing creatures. They have highly developed social structures, intense family lives. When we go in there with guns blazing, we're committing genocide. And when we talk about management techniques, harvesting, culling, we forget that these are living creatures and who grieve when their youngsters are mown down, when the youngsters see their mothers mown down. They grieve. They're traumatized for life.
It's difficult, particularly when people have never been here themselves, and they certainly haven't got involved in the problems. It's not something they're used to in their own lives. I mean, in their own lives, they've never had to control overpopulation. The Kruger culling policy has been at the centre of South Africa's most heated environmental debates in recent years. The dead elephants were immediately processed. The park now has around 3,000 tusks in storage, worth millions of dollars. The hide used to be sold, the flesh made into stew and shared amongst the park rangers. Then, in 1989, came the embargo on the international trade of ivory and hide. The abattoirs in the Kruger National Park used to employ 120 people. Now, they're seldom used. Kruger has bowed to its critics and has stopped culling. But the problems didn't stop there.
We have a Spanish client who has a CITES permit, who has paid for an elephant hunt, but he doesn't want to shoot the elephant, he just wants the tusks. So we said, can we buy the tusks from the Kruger Park? And they blatantly said to us, no ways. We said, but this is ridiculous. It means I have to go out and shoot an elephant to send the tusks to Europe. You guys have got stockpiles of thousands of tusks in your storerooms. Just sell us 2. And they wouldn't do it. And that kind of, that really made me mad about their whole attitude in the Kruger Park.
But the director of the Kruger National Park feels frustrated that his hands are tied.
Because of international CITES agreement, we cannot make use of what we have. I believe that the West is trying to impose its will, its ethics on South Africa, on Africa. And I think that is not justified. I feel that we have every right, where we properly control populations, to make use of those populations in such a way that we can look after those populations so that they remain here in perpetuity and then benefit people as well.